Good morning and good morning. What a blessing that finally we are here again. Remember, every Tuesday we come to you and talk to you on matters leadership. It has been a journey and it's quite a blessing to hear what the Lord is doing, because remember, we have said again and again that everything rises and falls on leadership. We have been on this morning digest. Remember, I host different people who come and share with us depth of leadership and many other issues on this morning digest. My name is Apostle Patrick Muriithi, and I'm here again today to talk about strategic leadership. My guest was here last time, and he did an amazing work. I received a lot of, calls and people saying, let that man come and finish, because they felt, you people felt like he did not say everything. And I can assure you, even today, he may not say everything, but I believe whatever he is going to say will be a blessing. My guest today is a man who has wealth of knowledge. His name is Mr. Eliud Nthiga, who is also a management consultant, if I'm right, and also the CEO of Nairobi Kenya. I'm going to give him a chance to say more about himself, because, people are able to say more about themselves than we can say about them. But what I want you to do is just go to Elevate TV, of course, and after that, you go to Elevate TV, Facebook, and the WhatsApp. What you are going to do is make sure that you write to us and speak to us. Numbers are on the screen. And again, remember, we are in YouTube, the same Elevate TV. The best you can do is share, write back to us, comment, ask questions, and we shall be answering. And of course, what we cannot answer, we will give a trial, and I believe it will be a blessing. So you are most welcome. Let me give my guests a chance to greet us, and this is something today.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Eliud Nthiga. I am born again. I love Jesus Christ as Lord of my heart. And as my host has indicated, I am a management consultant with Adventure Educator Kenya Limited. And I'm happy to be back to share a few thoughts as the Lord enables us to progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nthiga. What a blessing. Last time I must thank Mr. Diema. He stood in for me. It was really hard for me to be there at that time. But believe you me, I kept listening and watching, and what a wealth of wisdom and the nuggets that you earned for us.
Thank you.
Just because of, just recapping for those who are not there, would you just mention what this, strategic leadership is all about?
Thank you very much, Apostle. It is my pleasure to be here. Last time we discussed a couple of things, and I remember we talked about what strategic leadership is, and we talked about leadership being influence. That's the simplest definition of leadership. But then we asked, what is this strategic? Because again, people hear that word and they think it's a very big and complicated word.
Yeah.
So my effort was to distill it for our listeners, so that they can have easy understanding of that word. And the word strategy comes from strategy. And strategy is a matter of positioning.
Yeah.
Positioning in a way that you take advantage of what you have or what there is, trying to understand the environment you are working in or you are operating in, and trying to position in a way that you have an advantage in the future, current and in future. And I remember we also talked about short-term strategies, mid-term strategies, long-term strategies. We also talked about skills that are needed for someone to be a strategic leader. And we covered quite a scope of it, issues to do with flexibility, issues of having a vision, and those kind of things. So basically, we covered quite a lot.
Yeah, it was so interesting because when I listen to people talk about vision, I remember for a long time asking a pastor, what is your vision? And he kept on saying it is to build a big church, 4,000, 5,000 seater church. Do you call that a vision?
Well, Apostle, even that one vision is misunderstood. But let me say that the scripture say, where there is no vision,
people perish.
People perish. Proverbs.
Yeah.
I think 29 and verse 18. what vision means is that you should have a clarity of mind.
Okay.
Of what you want to do.
Yeah.
And probably where you want to go. Because vision as an issue of sight.
Okay.
You are able to see where you want to go, to achieve what you are set out to achieve. So when you say you want to build a 3 or a big church, for example, 5,000, yeah, it's a component of a vision. But probably, when it is simply stated like that, it sounds like a target.
Okay.
So vision has to be encapsulated in a way that it doesn't stop at target. When you achieve that target, when you say a big church,
yeah,
then that may sound like a vision. But when you even give a figure like 5,000 seater, then that becomes a target.
Yeah.
But it is still within the context of vision.
Okay.
But we say that if you are going to have a good vision, you must articulate it in a way that it is encompassing,
yeah,
it is appealing, and it keeps on beckoning, and gives you the relevant energy or inspiration, so that that may sound well. It gives you the inspiration to keep doing what you are doing to achieve the target or the objective you have set for yourself. That is what we call a vision. A vision must be stated in a way that it is encompassing. It gives you the energy to keep doing what you are doing,
yeah,
and to achieve certain results. Not just one, maybe several results that are somehow in the future.
Yeah.
That is what we call a vision.
Wow, that is a vision. You know, when you put it that way, and but we'll come back to that, because again, what I can remember somebody who called after watching this program and said, wow, I actually thought we had a vision, but I realized we didn't have a vision. Because again, people just hear vision and say, okay, it's what you imagine. But again, the Bible talking about this vision must be written down.
Yes, in Habakkuk.
In Habakkuk.
Chapter 2.
Why should a vision be written down if you look at it from a management point of view?
Okay. I remember when I was here last, I said that visions should be written down.
Yeah.
Because when you write it down, it becomes clearer.
Okay.
It becomes easier to communicate. It becomes easier to break down.
Okay.
People find it easy to follow. And as a leader, you want people to follow you to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So this is why it should be written down. Otherwise, if it's in your mind,
nobody can read.
People are not able to really tell or read, or they keep thinking it's a dream you have.
Yeah.
And when it stays in your mind and not written, sometimes you may not articulate it as effectively as you should as a leader. So this is why it is important to write it down. So that again, it's not even it's not forgotten, and people, whether you are there or not, they are able to tell what it is that you are doing.
Okay.
That way it becomes easier. So a lot of people have got what we call wishful thinking. And wishful thinking is when they say, I have a dream. But that dream could just be a wish. But until it is written down, it is difficult to articulate a dream. You might just have woken up and said, I want to buy 1,000 acres of land.
Yes.
And probably even the means to do it are remote.
Yeah.
Is really that a vision or just a dream or a wishful thinking? So this is why it is important to write it down and then break it down and begin to communicate it, begin to bring people into your vision so that they can buy it and begin to live what you have written down.
Do you think that a lot of frustrations we see with leaders, the church leaders and the like, where they feel like people are not giving me enough support, people are not following enough like I would expect? Do you think some of it has to do with the lack of vision, the vision is not written down, or people don't know where you are going?
I would imagine so. A lot of leaders, particularly church leaders, I would say, begin, for example, a ministry or a church.
Yes.
And then they articulate some very good ideas. And then they expect that people jump up and down and begin to follow them because of what they have said.
Yeah.
People are not like that. people, they want to be certain and assured that as we follow you, you are taking us to where you have told us. I mean, Moses was followed by the Israelites, but he articulated the vision.
Yeah.
He told them, I'm taking you to a land flowing with milk and honey.
Yes.
And he told them where the land is.
Yes.
It's the land of Canaan. And they could tell the journey. It is maybe 100 kilometers away.
Yes.
So it is achievable. They could easily see that. The vision should have similar qualities, that we know where we are going, and we know the realities that we are being told about, and it is possible, and we can see even as ourselves that it is somewhere there. If people cannot see that, they are not likely to follow.
And no wonder they're able to fight the handshake and they still keep on going.
Yes.
No matter the opposition.
No matter the opposition.
Because they have seen where they are going.
Where they are going.
Wow.
So the challenge of a leader now, even a church leader or a Christian leader, is to articulate this vision and so show the people that it is possible to achieve it. Because if they think it's not possible, they'll just look at you as you articulate your thing.
Wow, man, the temptation to repeat all what you said is so high, but because it is still in our YouTube channel, you can go back and at least catch up with us later. But for today, let us move ahead so that whoever was watching last time doesn't feel like we are waiting for the next level. Share with us, how then do you develop a strategy? Give us the steps of, you know, you have a place, there's where you are going.
Yes.
But then you need to articulate to the people in a way they can understand how we are going there.
Yes.
It's not an easy thing.
Yes, it is not very easy.
So how do you articulate, how do you develop a strategy?
Generally, Apostle, I have always viewed developing of a strategy as a technical assignment.
Yes.
It requires a bit of technical knowledge and understanding.
Yes.
Because you don't just wake up one morning, scribble on your notepad and say, this is vision.
Yes.
This is mission. These are core values. These are the things I want to do.
But I think that's what many people have done.
I tell you.
Yeah.
But
you just sit down, write down. I think people should come here and they do honor, should come here and they do this. And you tell them these are our core values.
Now, you see, you only sat down yourself and thought that you are doing it the best way.
But I'm the one leading. No, I'm just throwing it the way people
Exactly,
argue.
that's the way they look at it.
Yes.
But except that I don't want to give very many examples, I have worked for organizations.
Yes.
And one of them was very dramatic. I walked into the organization, they had advertised, so I went in, applied to develop a strategy for them. And they told me, this we can do in about 2 days if you call us and we'll be able to help you think. Or you can go sit somewhere and draft. We'll give you documents to show you what we do, then you can draft for us. I told them, no. If you're going to develop a strategy like that, it will remain as the MD's idea. It will not be the organization idea or strategy for that matter. Because a lot of senior managers will go sit somewhere and they draw something which they think everybody will follow. Then they realize that it was their own thing. It is completely detached from the rest of the community or employees or the people they work with. Now in a church, a pastor may sit down, maybe with one leader or two, and then they draw something like that. Then when they come to reality and they begin to market it to the people or communicate it to the people are not with them. And again, it is not the pastor who is going to implement the strategy you have developed. If it qualifies for strategy. You are going to implement it with volunteers, workers, and some of them are not even paid. They just come. Now, if you do not allow them to participate in the process, it will be your own idea. They will be saying that is a pastor's idea. He dreams wildly. You do not even understand him. That's the kind of labeling you see. So this particular organization, so that you can now see the context I'm trying to bring across, they went, sat somewhere. They came up with some good statements, which were copied from another organization. And then they brought it to the people, and they began to implement. Then they realized it was not working. So this is why they advertised. So I told them, for you to develop a good strategy, number one, you must make it inclusive and participative.
Okay.
So you bring in people who are likely to support you, who are likely to be engaged in the implementation. You sit together.
Just hold on that. Those of you who are joining us, remember we are in Elevate Kenya, that is TV, YouTube, and Facebook. And we are dealing with how our guest is now telling us on how to develop a strategy. And I'm sure you are enjoying. So continue sharing, continue writing back to us. Remember the number on the screen. Please don't call it. Just write a message or WhatsApp message. Because if you call, I'll not be able to respond. But so that now we can move together. So the first thing is you must include people. Must be inclusive.
It has to be inclusive.
Okay.
So bring on board particularly senior people, senior managers or senior people, and then people are likely to get involved in the implementation of that strategy.
Okay.
Because you now bring in ideas. Apart from the idea the leader has, they are going to bring other ideas and probably modify those ideas a little further. Because they are thinking about the statement, not just the statement, but implementation and applicability of those ideas.
Yes.
So that is the first thing you do.
Yes.
The second thing you do is allow someone who is technical to support you in that process.
Yes.
That's how consultants now come in. I've been a consultant for the last about 30 years, and I've consulted a lot on strategic plan development, and that's what I do on a regular basis.
Yes.
So you realize now this person who is a bit technical will guide you along the way. Now, when you begin now to develop the strategy, there's going to be a lot of reading and analysis. Because again, last time I remember I said, when you do thorough analysis of the environment you are in, the area you are in, the demographics of the people that you are dealing with. In a church, you'll be thinking of the congregation and the catchment area and the resources that are available. Vis-a-vis the dream you have.
Okay.
So you do all that analysis. Then after all that analysis, you compile it into a document. During the process of discussion, now sharing thoughts, probably you do it in a workshop. If not outside, probably within your area. But then you create time for the consultations to go on. Because it takes time. For a pastor to distill his vision into the leaders, it takes time. So that they can borrow that vision. And they begin to own it.
Okay.
The moment they begin to own it, you are 90% successful in developing strategy. But when it is your own, nobody else understands what you are saying. Or if they understand, they don't agree with it, you are on your own.
So in this time when you are involving your leaders, you allow them to question, you allow them to critique. That means you must be very sober. You should not be insecure. You should not feel like they are taking away what I want to do. And of course, at the same time, I'm sure you should also be firm, not to be drifted from what the Lord wants you to do.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you are not a Superman. I appreciate that. And you are not going to work alone. Otherwise, you should just have your own church for yourself, and you are the pastor and the congregation.
Oh my goodness.
And that's why you find in organizations where the CEO, for example, just wants to chart his own course. He leaves everybody behind, and they create a jam. So the CEO would certainly fail.
You know, you are taking me back to Genesis, when God has done all that, then he says, let us make man or create man in our own image. God involving. It's like you can see the involvement there.
He was not doing it alone. I'm sure there were consultations which were not private to, where to put the nose. I remember one time a preacher preaching and saying, God was so clever, he never put the nose facing up. Otherwise, when it rains, water would enter into the nose. See, we had to put the ears.
Then you would have needed to make a canopy.
That would have been a very complicated human being. So you know, all those kind of things. So I tend to think it's the same thing we need to do. And when we talk about consultations, it's not just when we are doing strategy. In many areas. Including in our own families, Apostle.
Give us one institution that you ever did a strategic plan for that you think was successful, then I'll ask you a few questions out of that, if you have one. I know you have done for many, but one that you say, this was very successful.
Okay. Apostle, maybe I've been biased to one church.
One church?
Yes.
Okay, give it.
Because I know there are also corporates
yes.
that have worked
of course, it's a good thing to hear that even churches you have. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I think with due respect, I'll mention the name of the church because I think it's in public domain. I did the first strategic plan for All Saints Cathedral.
Here in the city center.
Here in the city center. And I've been engaged to do another and another. So I've been there for almost 15 years. Okay. And I've helped them articulate or develop strategic plans for them. And I've seen them grow from strength to strength.
Now, okay, thank you. What makes you think that now that particular strategic plan you did for the church was successful? What are the parameters?
Maybe if I were to think in a diverse sequence, the first thing is that the cathedral was doing the first strategic plan almost after 100 years of existence.
Wow.
Almost 100 years. The first thing I saw then, there were so many small ministries that were functioning as individual, in quote, ministries, where people are feeling like this is my thing.
Yes.
It was not corporate.
Yes.
Corporate was probably just the services. So what we were able to do first was to study the cathedral and what it stood for, the Christian mandate of the cathedral, and of course looking at the leadership, the structures, and all that. And we were able to do a thorough study on all those areas. And then we were able to say, for the cathedral to move forward into the future, which they were anticipating, these are the things that ought to be done. So we were able to identify those things. It involved all the senior managers. Okay. Would I say senior pastors? The
clergy.
The clergy.
Yes.
And of course the workers, like the finance director, the human resource, and of course the PCC. That's now the governance organ within the Anglican Church, parochial church council. Very senior people. Cathedral has got very senior senior pastors or senior governance.
Yes.
So we were able to do it together now, the inclusivity I was talking about. So we were able to look at the structure, we were able to look at the mandate of the church and what it needed to achieve. And then we did very extensive analysis of what the parishioners, the people who go to the cathedral, what their desire was. I remember we even did a survey to ask them, what is the kind of a cathedral that you would like to have, that you would like to see? Yes. What are some of the services that you desire that are provided at the cathedral? So we went to the people also to ask them their perception about the cathedral. And then, of course, the leaders and their own ideas of what they wanted to do. Like I remember, there's a big hall there called Multipurpose Hall. Then it was in phase 1. It was being constructed. Yes. But there was a desire to go now to phase 2 so that we could create more space for people to meeting halls. Yes. And of course, maybe to generate revenue along the way because it is strategically placed where people can have meetings. We also needed to do some other halls for the youth and for Sunday school because there's a school there. So all these things, we needed to do an analysis and put all of it together. Wow. And remembering that the cathedral, apart from the church, there is also a primary school and some other services within. So this strategic plan was able to bring that together. All of that together. And of course, you were able to see growth. Yes. And in terms of infrastructure, the developmental and the, people. Yeah, so you see the strategy is, I would say it's unique to every organization. Wow. You know what, that is really sweet. We'll be coming back and we'll be touching on a little more deeper on that because I believe there are so many people there who are trying to do their strategic plan and never worked or they felt like
this thing is stopping us from doing exactly what God wants us to do. And I've seen pastors and the leaders who put it, and then after some time they keep it aside and they start moving on their old way, what they are used to. We'll be coming back to that, and we'll be helping more as you talk. Remember, we'll be taking a very short break, and after this we'll come back and continue this discussion, which is really sweet. I'm sure you are enjoying. Keep on writing, and when we come back, I'll be answering a few questions people are asking, and of course not me but him. But just stay there, don't go away. Just a short break, and we'll be back after this.
Just a coincidence that we're so much aware of what is right and what is wrong, and yet we tend to throw all caution to the wind to do what is wrong.
Your worth surpasses all earthly things, because in the eyes of the Lord God, you are loved.
We have to speak the gospel valiantly with our lives, and it's disheartening. But nevertheless, the gospel as we know it, as through the test of time, we might want to go to war with it and judge, but no.
Marko 10:45 inasema, kwa maana mwana wa Adamu naye hakuja kutumikiwa, bali kutumika na kutoa nafsi yake iwe fidia ya wengi. Muulize anajifunza nini kupitia hilo neno?
I know I'm not just a lucky recruit of salvation, but I am a blessed son in the kingdom.
For this was the beginning of my tribulation, for there was no reason to plead an innocent statement.
Well, welcome back. The break is over, and we are here again. Just before we left for break, my guest was here telling us, of organizations that he has helped in developing this strategic plan, and it has worked. And we promise that when you come back, you tell us the parameters you used to tell that it was successful, and what you need to do. And just before we go to that, I just mentioned as we were going for the break that I have seen people, even pastors, who developed a very good strategic plan. And when you read, it is powerful, but it never worked or was not used. Why do people write down and discount them?
Yes. Maybe I respond to that question, and then we go back to the other organization.
Yes.
Because I think I was not through with the parameters.
Yes, I wanted you to hold that. But what we can do, just finish the parameters, then we come back to that so that you join us.
Okay, yeah. So I want to say what happened at the cathedral now, after doing all that work, we were able to come up with a 5-year strategic plan.
Yes.
Now, in this strategic plan, the results were there was growth in numbers.
Growth in numbers.
Because I think the cathedral moved from about 5,000 to almost 11,000 members.
Okay. So growth in numbers.
Growth in numbers. Then there was growth in infrastructure.
Okay.
Because now the multipurpose hall was done, phase 2 was done.
Which was now part of what was in the strategic plan.
Yes, what was in strategic plan.
And they followed this as you put it.
Yeah, now that takes us to how to implement.
Yes.
And I think that's a question you are asking about people discarding.
Yes.
The other thing was, by the way, in terms of the infrastructure, if you go to the cathedral, one of the things you are likely to see is a youth hall. Initially, it was designed for 500 youth. When the strategic plan was done, it was grown into 2,500.
Okay.
Amphitheater status.
Okay.
Very powerful.
Okay.
Then there was growth in finances, giving, and many other areas. So I would like to say, even in terms of governance, there was a lot of improvement. So those are some of the indicators I would say we were able to see.
Okay.
So the question is, why then do people develop very good strategies, but then they are not able to implement
it's
them?
actually now an implementation.
Yes.
And because, as I said, I know I've seen very good strategic plans,
Yes.
but when you look at what is achieved, nothing. Then when you try to follow up, it's either it was not used or something happened. I don't know whether you remember when we were transitioning from the traditional drums
Yes.
and the keyboard.
Yes,
You defined a church with a keyboard and with a drum hanged somewhere.
in a case.
In a case. So they are following the keyboard. Then all of a sudden you see a brother jump, pick the drum, and they start.
Yes,
I mean, it's like for you to use the keyboard, you must throw away that drum. You remember?
yes.
So, and I have seen again where people have a strategic plan, but they have their own way
Of doing
hanged
things.
somewhere.
Yes.
So tell us, how do you implement this strategy?
Generally, people are comfortable with the past.
Okay.
They are not comfortable with the future. Because future has uncertainty.
Okay.
And people don't want to go into uncertain things.
Yes.
That is the reality of life.
Okay.
It is only those who dare to go into the future with uncertainty and risks who make it and who probably bring change. Now, with the strategy, a lot of people are comfortable with doing things the way they know.
Yes.
Because it is safe, they know it, it does not create trouble or risk. So a lot of people writing good documents, then they put them aside because they don't want to chart uncharted waters.
Okay.
That is one. And then they are also not willing to mobilize because what brands do, they make demand on the leaders.
Okay.
For example, they will demand that you count numbers, you mobilize resources to meet the demand you created for yourself.
Yes.
Or you bring in new people to do certain new things. So all these things, people are not comfortable with.
Yes, because there's somebody who is coming to take someone's place. There's someone's job that is being rendered irrelevant.
Yes.
There is
Structures being collapsed.
Structures being collapsed.
My thing is become our thing.
Yes.
The pastor is questioned.
The pastor
This
is
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is
and was never
accountable
used.
to.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the plan will require that you are accountable. Usually. If we said we are going to start 2 churches in the next 5 years, we are in the 3rd year.
Yes.
We have not begun one.
Yes.
So the pastor will have to answer, why aren't we starting?
Because again, in the plan, the structure also, the pastor has a team or people he is accountable to.
Yes.
And
like now in a church,
yes.
you need to have probably a governance structure. And the pastor was not used, for example, to answering to anyone.
Yes.
Now the governance structure requires that you also give them feedback on what is being achieved.
Yes.
Like a board, for example. They will look at the resources.
Okay.
So if the pastor was not writing figures, this time you must start writing figures and telling us where the money is going to.
Now you see why people jump for that old drum.
Of course. So these are the things that come in.
Okay.
Again, implementation as the aspect of commitment.
Okay.
And if you look at many leaders, even in corporate world,
yes,
they talk about commitment, but when it comes to specific deliverables, they don't want to be accountable.
Okay.
But the plan will require that these things are done.
Yes.
So again, that becomes an issue. Then there is the aspect of outreach.
Yes.
You see, the plan is not just for yourself.
Yes.
It also reaches out to other stakeholders. Like there's one chapter in strategic plan that we call chapter 3, generally, where you even list the stakeholders and their expectations about your organization. Now in a church, there are many stakeholders. And you need to meet the expectations of those stakeholders. So when the stakeholders increase and you know what they are looking for, you should be able to provide. A lot of our institutions do not want to be accountable for those expectations. So that's where we have a challenge.
Wow. Now, somebody is writing back to says, strategy is unique to every organization, corporate or ministry-based. That is factual. Somebody is writing to you, and they're saying, All Saint Cathedral, my church, I can relate. I think it's good that somebody is listening and saying, yes, I can relate. Yes, Flora Koilor Kakaki is the one saying that. And the man talking to you on this show is the one who did the strategic plan of your church. Then I have somebody else here. Oh man, I can't read all this. Awesome. Somebody is telling you awesome. I'm really taking notes. And yeah, keep writing to us. Somebody is telling us strategy is unique to every organization, is repeating the same. And people are liking it. So let's go on. In the course of implementation, some people become insecure, demand, more people come.
Yes.
And the other thing I've seen is the lack of goodwill. How do you mobilize people to see that they agree? You know, it's part of implementation. Some people are not there when the strategy was being developed.
Yes.
They have come, they have found something going on. How do you keep on assimilating people who are joining?
Right.
To put everybody on board?
Yes. I think for all practical purposes,
yes,
organizations are established to achieve certain positive goals. And those positive goals are things that the society is likely to resonate with. If a church goes to a place,
yes,
you are likely to touch certain areas of that society which are positive to that society. Because if it is prayers, people want prayers. If it is evangelism, people want to be evangelized.
Yes.
If it is crime, you are addressing issues of crime. And if it is development of infrastructure, probably it is infrastructure that is going to be utilized by the community.
Yes.
If you start a school, for example, the community will bring their children to that school.
Yes.
So generally, organizations are formed with the positive things that they bring to the society. So you find that stakeholders, different stakeholders, will take keen interest into what the organization is doing, even on environmental issues. If you go to simply cut trees in a society, they are likely to resist you because they know trees are valuable. But if you go cutting but replanting, they are likely to support you.
Yes.
You know? It's a very simple example I'm giving.
Yes.
If you go mining, people raise an issue of why are you creating holes? Where are you taking these resources?
Yes.
But if you create a system where you are putting part of the revenue back to the society, they are likely to support you.
Yes.
So strategies should be able to articulate all those matters and consider the stakeholders and begin to provide the expectations that are in the stakeholders, different ones, from widest scope. For example, in a corporate institution, government is interested with dividends or tax that you pay. Government wants to see that you are creating jobs.
Yeah, revenue is coming.
You see?
Yes.
You are engaging and employing people.
Yes.
They would want to see that you are taking care of environment. So if you do all those, people are happy. And anybody finding the organization at whatever stage, they are likely to come in. Now the challenge is the organization assimilating the new stakeholders.
Yes.
That should happen on a regular basis and consciously so. Like a church, it should be able to accept probably people with the new giftings or probably people who come with new ideas which can be incorporated into their strategy. Because like we said last time, strategy is not cast on stone.
Yes.
It is a roadmap. When you have a roadmap, if you find a roadblock or a hard thing, you don't stay there.
Yes.
You take a detour.
Yes.
Or you accommodate something new and then you keep moving forward as long as it's adding value to what you already articulated. So that's the way to go. Don't become stiff. That we said we must go this way and we cannot change course. No, you have to. Because sometimes there is what we call disruption. What do you do in times of disruption?
Yes.
And I think last time we talked about COVID.
Yeah.
It came. It has disrupted the way things are done. If you have a strategy that is cast on stone, then it means you'll be stuck.
Okay.
You have to take a detour or re-engineer. Okay, in some places, we used to talk about strategic inflection points. strategic
Inflection
points.
Yes.
Where something must change.
Yes.
If it does not change, the organization will collapse. Even in a church, you might find an issue that comes to church and it requires change of strategy.
Yes.
So you must do an inflection.
That's why you must be flexible, be willing to change.
Yes.
But not that just discount the strategy.
No, don't discount the
Just
strategy.
say it's not working.
In fact, we said keep to the general direction. If you said you are going northeast, I remember giving that example.
Yes.
And you find yourself detouring and going northwest. That is only a detour of about 90 degrees. You must keep back and keep course northeast because that's where you are headed.
Wow. Man, this thing is really nice and I'm liking. And so many people here are writing and saying so many things. I'm not able to read all of them. But keep on writing to us. Somebody here is saying gaining knowledge based at being blessed at the same time. Somebody here called Rosalind Mongera is saying very informative. Then another person tells you, yes, I agree, strategy is not cut on stone, it's a roadmap. And Pastor Watata is saying very informative, just what I needed to hear this morning. Keep up Elevate TV Kenya. Joshua Mothe, this could be your son. You're saying when articulating your vision, it should be people inclusive. That's your son. Wow. You're student listening to the father and,
May the Lord bless
and commenting when the father is talking. What a blessing. Now, let me ask you a few questions because you have worked with churches, you have worked with the private sector, and you have also worked with the government in some levels. Do you think our government is strategic? What is happening right now? There's a lot of noise. You know, building a railway to nowhere, building roads instead of this. Do you think that is strategic?
I'm
just throwing this because we could be making noise when they are, or you could be making noise because we do not know. What would be your view? Remember, this is your view.
This is my view. It's not universal.
Yes.
Everybody is entitled to their own views.
Yes.
Allow me to say this, that our current state, I may not be able to describe it fully because I'm not in government right now, so I may not speak with authority.
You know, I'm asking you this because this Saturday, people slept on Mombasa Road.
Yes.
And I think Friday or Saturday, and there was a lot of noise. And one of the things that captured my mind is, this government is not strategic. This is not the right time to build the road. And of course, you hear this kind of noise.
Yeah.
And the question is, in your view, was there a strategy that is being followed? Is it being followed? Is this part of...
That's the point I wanted to bring across, Apostle. That a lot of times, people are engaged in transient issues. Transient in the sense that they are today's issues, the challenges of today. And I remember last time, I talked about balancing the urgent versus important.
Okay.
Many times people are engaged with the urgent issues. We want to move from Mombasa, from Kitengela to town. So we want efficient movement. But then congestion has crept in slowly because of the number of vehicles. So we need to expand the road. So as we expand the road, which is now strategic, there have been inconveniences. Those inconveniences must be accommodated because there is no way you are going to build the road without creating an inconvenience of some sort. It is like when you want to build a house, you begin by buying a plot. But you don't just wake up and buy a plot. You begin by saving, not enjoying some luxury or certain good things that you should enjoy so that you can save for tomorrow. It's the same thing with the government.
Okay.
When Corona comes, we don't say now we stop building roads and dams and other things so that then we concentrate on saving lives because Corona has come. You know?
Yeah.
So Corona is just a transient matter. It will be with us for a short time. But then there are other things that we must keep doing.
Yeah, because people are being born as well.
People are being born.
And the vehicles are being bought.
We need hospitals. We need roads.
Yes.
We need the ports.
Yes.
And many other things.
Okay.
So this noise you hear in the country, for me, I don't think that noise is necessary. We should be able to analyze and look at what is it that the government is trying to achieve. Like in our Vision 2030.
That's what I wanted then to ask, because I have heard you in some quarters talk about Vision 2030.
Yes.
And some point where you are involved in it.
Yes.
Are you seeing like this is part of Vision 2030, what is happening? Yes.
Absolutely. I would say that probably the current government is maybe following the Vision 2030 as articulated by the previous government. And you see what has happened with the government is that the Vision 2030 is divided into 5-year terms, 5 years of plans. From that time when it was articulated, you divide 5 years, and then you have cycles of 5 years.
Yes.
I tend to think from 2002, we should be talking now of being probably in the 4th or 3rd cycle, because that's about 15 years ago. Now, every of those cycles, you are chewing. You know, Vision 2030 is like a big elephant.
Yes.
You eat
cut,
it
yes.
and cut from, one piece after another. Because you can't chew a whole elephant.
Yes.
Because you don't have the muscle, you don't have the resources, the mouth is not enough, the teeth are not big enough to swallow the whole elephant. And that's, again, the thing with the strategy. When you develop strategy, you don't put things that you are not likely to implement. Because then, again, it becomes a wishful thinking.
Again, it should also be bigger than...
But bigger than
the resources
your
in
current
your pocket.
possession.
Yes.
Yeah, so that it can now give you the challenge to outdo yourself.
Yes.
You are pushed, you are challenged, you keep moving forward. So that's what is happening with the government. Like now I look at the roads that His Excellency the President is building. If you look at a government document called Roads 2000, you'll be able to see that all those roads are documented there.
Okay.
It's not just waking up in the morning and they say we want to do this road. When you look at the railway, they are nowhere.
No.
You know?
Remember, it is not our view. Just, go.
It can go somewhere.
Yes.
Essentially, it's only that it has not reached the ultimate destination. That means someplace in Congo, as I understand it, via Uganda, probably Rwanda, and maybe Congo. But right now we know it is somewhere in Narok, so it is still on the way. All right. Now, when you see the port of Lamu, again we are saying the upset corridor. It has already been set.
Okay.
The port is just a scratch.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's not indulge so much into that. But let me ask, do you think now this implementation, I mean, this strategy was there, but then is it that in the process of implementation is what that is not, more inclusive in evolving?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's the point I wanted to raise, that probably why you find people making a lot of noise is because maybe the government is not communicating enough. And having a communicator who is telling us, this is what we said, this is what was planned, this is what we are doing. And this is where we are. And this is where we are, this is where we want to go. That way people will resonate with what is happening.
So in other words, in implementation, communication at every level is very important.
Feedback
yes.
and communication, showing us where we are going.
Okay.
Very, very important.
Yes.
Otherwise, people will think that either we are going around the mountain too much. With the children of Israel.
Yes.
They went around the mountain for 40 years, so they were killed.
Until God comes and tells Moses, you have been here for too long.
Move on.
Move on.
So it's the same. Sometimes a government might find itself in a quagmire.
Yes.
Like, for example, when now Corona comes, and we have to divert certain funds to handle Corona, that money would have gone maybe to schools.
Yes.
So when you're in such a quagmire, now you have to think, what do I do? Like now when I hear people saying that we are borrowing too much, I want to say, Apostle, with due respect from economic understanding, there is no country that develops with its own resources. No, not anywhere in the world. Generally, most of the countries, they borrow they develop, and then what they have developed generates to pay back.
Okay.
A lot of business people.
Yeah, and of course, when you hear people talk, the issue is not borrowing too much.
Yes.
The issue is,
Where
as
is
I
the
said,
money?
communication, is the money doing what it was borrowed to do?
Yes.
And I think, again, if we are not faithful to the strategic plan, we will borrow, yes, to say we are doing this, but remember we talked about accountability.
Yes.
We want to see, did you borrow to do this and have you done it?
Yes.
And when that is not done, then you see people now almost rioting.
Exactly.
And I believe here accountability is very key, and the people need to know. I mean, our leaders also need to know, because you began by saying when you are implementing a strategy, accountability must be there.
Yes.
And sometimes we are accountable to our juniors,
Yes.
citizens. So that also is very important.
Very.
So I believe even those who are listening to us and probably the government side, they can understand that we are here making noise, asking, can we see results? The strategy, the vision 2030 is here. Yes, you are borrowed to do this. Are you doing that?
Yes.
Yeah, because that is also the other thing.
I agree.
Give us a summary of what you think can be done to that person watching. The other day somebody said, it is not just a vision about the church and the nation, that even a family needs a vision.
Yes.
Can you imagine? That even a family needs a mission statement. I was really amazed.
Yes.
How can you develop a vision statement for a family? And a motto for the family, and the core values.
Core values.
For family,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The family is the smallest unit.
Yes.
Or I would call it the smallest organization.
Yes.
In our society.
Mm.
And they also need the same.
Yes.
Because you can imagine a family that does not have a direction.
Yes.
What will it be?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's only the father who knows where he is taking the family. And the rest of the members don't know.
Yes.
Including the wife.
Yes.
So the wife just follows.
Wakes up in the morning, cooks tea.
Yeah.
And
apply some lipstick and put some nice clothes. And you don't know where you are headed.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I mean, it's important for the man of the house
to have a vision.
To have a vision.
And cast it.
And cast
and
it.
Write it down.
If it were possible.
Do you know, really, we talk about the government,
Yes.
we talk about churches,
Yes.
we criticize pastors, but we do not know that we are also leaders.
Yes.
Leadership is not just having 10 people behind you.
Yes.
Your wife, your children. So men listening to us, you need to have a vision for your family.
Maybe
you need to write
hear
it
this.
down. You need to have a strategy.
Maybe you need to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
That every beginning of the year,
Yes.
I sit down with my children and my wife.
Yes.
And
Joshua is watching.
Yes.
And
And
your
each
wife
one
is
of-
also
yes,
watching.
and each
somewhere.
one of us-
And we are asking Joshua to confirm what Dad is saying. We are on air. Just confirm. Yes, go on.
And each one of them,
Yes.
they have got objectives that we have set for ourselves.
Yes.
Both for the family now, corporate, as well as individual objectives.
Yes.
And we are held accountable. Every year when we meet the subsequent year, we revisit to
Yes.
see whether what was done was done. And now I even want to make the meetings half yearly.
Yes.
So that then we are able to check on this year's objectives.
Yes.
Are we achieving them?
Wow.
Because sometimes there is now that in delay, people forget because people are busy here and there.
Yes.
So it's important for a family to have that. And by the way, if they were able to put them down, that would be fantastic. Because when they come to church now, they will also be committed and accountable in the church.
Yes.
When they go where they work, they would also want to see accountability and a commitment to whatever the organization has said.
Wow. I've heard people say, tell us the success. You have raised your children. They have